Hi, I'm Sharon Renfro. Before we get started today and down to business, I want to show you this. Isn't that spectacular? Oh, that's the setting I'm in. Who could be happier? Hi. Our hearts and minds at SharonRenfro.com believes that we must open our minds before we can open our hearts to one another. A fundamental idea to an alternative way to understand the psychology of relationships. Now, this means that thinking is the key to having a stable, long-term, successful, meaningfully connected relationship. Today's video explores the issues of forgiveness in relationship using the 3 steps of thinking. Now, I'm going to briefly define the 3 steps of thinking, and then I'm going to give you some examples so that you can start using thinking in your relationship to start solving problems. Step 1 in thinking is research, and that means that we gather pertinent and objective information. Number 1, the human being uses 3 different brain systems that makes up the psychological component of self, which is devoted to assessing individual safety in the context of relationships. Number 2, the emotional brain is the most ancient system of that psychological system. It's called the lizard brain oftentimes, and it performs the most basic assessments designed for defending self in a physically dangerous environment to determine for safety or threat. Simple environment of early human being is what this is designed for, and so you get a simple assessment in order to secure quick automatic reactions of conflict, fight, distance, flight, pretend, camouflage, or cut off, play dead. Number 3, these behaviors were meant to secure safety as immediately as is possible. The assessment of safety was determined simply by the reduction of anxiety. Number 4, the human needs to be an individual and the needs to be in a relationship, which results in the need to attain and maintain a balance between these needs, which constantly shifts. Thus, at times, the individual may sense a threat if too much closeness is sensed, or the individual may sense a threat if there's too little closeness. Both result in the interpretation of a threat to the individual. Number 5, feelings are designed only to provide a check and balance system. It's a process to take care of any errors in the emotional assessment of threat or safety. However, it relies on the same basic simple cues, so there's also a high rate of error. Now, negative or positive feelings can result in an increase in the intensity or the frequency in conflict, fight, distance, flight, pretend, camouflage, or cut off, play dead. Now, number 6, we use our gut reactions, our emotions, and feelings to guide us in our relationships. Number 7, that means that we are using our simplest assessment strategies for very complex situations. Not a great idea. Number 8, as a result, we act a good portion of the time on instinct instead of principle. Step 2 in thinking is reason, and that means that we're going to apply logic to make sense of the objective and pertinent information that we've gathered in order that we can deepen our understanding of ourselves and our relationship process. Number 1, forgiveness is more likely if we are experiencing a heightened need for a relationship. Number 2, a heightened need for a relationship would be a natural outcome to a threat to the relationship based on a behavior for which we may need to be forgiven. Number 3, forgiveness could therefore change depending on the circumstances. Number 4, the entire process therefore depends on the emotional stability of the individuals involved. I hope you can hear the birds calling in the background. Step 3, if thinking is reflection, and that means that we consider ourselves and other based on a deep understanding, which includes the use of empathy. Number 1, instead of using an emotional assessment, an individual could define self based on values, beliefs, and principles. Number 2, it would be important for the individual to use these values, beliefs, and principles to determine whether or not the behavior of the relationship partner is something that can be forgiven. Number 3, the distinction between being able to forgive based on principles versus experiencing the need for a relationship to continue, to the degree that the individual compromises core beliefs, will determine how stable the ability to forgive actually will be. Now, if these ideas have been beneficial to you, like us so that others can find us. And you can find more information and further discussion of these ideas in Our Hearts and Minds, The Psychology of Relationships, a series of podcasts at SharonRenfro.com or at CastBox. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you've enjoyed being here with me.